Session.
We're just waiting for Mark to pull it
Oh,
up.
we're waiting for Mark to get us going.
We are good to go.
Are we recording now?
We are recording and we are
Okay.
streaming as well.
So at 6:03, we're back into public session. Can we all please stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance, first one of the new season? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm opening public comment at 6:03. Is there anybody here who would like to say anything at this point? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Meredith. I represent the American Red Cross. I set up blood drives in the Meredith area and all around the Lakes region. You might have seen on the news that we're in the middle of a blood crisis. That means that the blood levels are at historic lows for just the second time in our history, but it's also the second time in this decade that we've seen the blood levels dip so low. And a lot of that is because we've seen less newer donors and less younger donors come out to donate regularly. A lot of schools have stopped running blood drives since COVID, or they've reduced their programs. And so we've seen about 20% less new and young donors in just 10 years. So Sandwich Central School is doing their first blood drive this fall on a Saturday in November in conjunction with the traveling nurses of Sandwich. And so we're trying to get some blood drives started up in the rest of the Lakes region. So we'd love to run at Interlakes High School and the middle school and throughout the whole district. So I'm just here to say that we would love to run a blood drive with the school district. Up in Plymouth, we ran 2 blood drives last year at the high school, and we saw about 50 to 60 students participate. And overall, the impact can save up to, I think it was 160 lives that could be impacted by just the blood drives that we had up in Plymouth.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you, but to be clear, so the purpose of having the blood drive at the school is to get students to give blood?
Yes.
And not have outside people driving into the school to give blood?
Correct, yeah, students.
and staff.
Yeah, students and staff can donate at the high school. We run at high schools very regularly. So students can start donating at age 16 with parental consent, and then at age 17, just on their own free will. We usually run it during the school day, so students can start donating in a familiar and comfortable place. I was just talking to a guy earlier today who said that he donates regularly, and it's because he started in high school. And so we'd love your support in getting some new programs started up in the area so we can see more of those lifelong donors start in high school.
Do you have a card, Meredith? Because I will.
I don't have one
Okay.
with me. Yeah,
Okay.
can I write down my
But you know what?
information?
Actually, Jeremy Hilder has your information.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
okay, so I will. He's going to see Guy Donnelly tomorrow, who is our new middle high school principal. So we can I'll have the 2 exchange and then reach out to you to talk about what that might look like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
The only thing I would ask is if you could try to do it in between sports seasons, because our athletes need all the blood they can get during the season.
You can maybe bring in some teams from other schools and they can give blood.
We can do a little competition.
That is
between the
strategic.
schools.
Dave, go ahead.
I just had a sort of a background question. I didn't know, this is something we've never done before, is there any?
No, we
precedent?
used to do a blood drive, and it was before COVID. We did, and it was actually one that, it was the National Honor Society ran it during the day. And it was for students, staff, and at that point, we did use patrol officers who helped to monitor, because we did have it open to the public as well. Which, is a complicated piece, like Sandwich is gonna do it on a Saturday, that's a community, more of a community.
It is a
right?
community thing.
Obviously the kids at Sandwich aren't going to be donating blood, but they'll help organize and do some things. But I think it's worth us talking about how we, look at that as a potential community service piece. And again, it's it only happens with parental permission that we would want to do that. But I will connect Guy with Jeremy tomorrow and have him reach out just to talk about what it might look like and timing, right? It's always important, what's a good time.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, great.
Great, thank you. And
Thanks.
thank you for your good work. That's important stuff.
What would you like me to bring up?
It's just usually on.
It is, yeah, the onboard computer was not functioning today, so we have no one live, so you'd just be looking at yourselves.
Okay.
So that's why I
Just
didn't
didn't
turn it
know
on.
if you knew.
Yeah, there's no one remotely joining, so that's why I have it off. But I can turn it on if you'd like.
No.
Well, Mr. Parsons, I'm glad you brought it up, but I forgot to ask you, is anybody asking for public input from?
There is none at this time.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, would you like to comment on public input?
No, thank you.
Okay. So we have minutes to review from May 12th, June 9th, and June 23rd. We can do them individually or all together, somebody would like. It's up to you all.
I have to abstain from the first one because I wasn't here.
Yeah, actually, I had to abstain from the last.
We'll do them separately then. Okay, we're gonna do May 12th first.
I move to as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded by Nancy. Any comments or discussion? Go ahead, Ed.
So the update that's printed there is good.
Can you give a page number? I'm sorry, Ed.
Sorry, I'm going backwards. I'm just looking at the 9J. It's just. I'm specifically referencing the non-public.
Page 69, I think it is.
Page 69 of 217, yep. So that is a true update, but that correction does not specifically address the wing room, which was the discussion point that we were going over.
So I think,
And it makes no, like, this correction makes no, you talk about possible staffing changes, but there's no discussion of the potential of looking at an additional assistant principal. And that links to the vote that is carried in the public session. That's how someone who is doing research would look at it. So I think we can increase transparency by making a correction to address.
so would specifically the program assistant positions in the WIN room,
Where are you looking at?
I'm writing it.
Oh, okay.
Yep, specifically the program assistant positions in the WIN room and student support center at the middle high.
A proposed solution was the hiring of
High
additional.
school were discussed.
Yep.
And assistant and proposed assistant principal, yep.
I'm comfortable with those changes.
That amendment work for everybody? Okay. Any other comments or thoughts on May 12th? Hearing none, we're voting on the amended May 12th minutes. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Abstain.
Abstain, okay.
Abstained, Siobhan is abstained.
So it's a 5-0-1 abstention.
Correct. We have the minutes of June 9th.
I just want to commend Sarah for being our transcriber
These
publicly.
were tough.
If you want to share, that's all.
I had a real appreciation for the effort she puts into creating these for us.
Yeah, they were a project.
But I don't have any.
Would
I
you
didn't
like to
miss
move?
this.
Okay, Duncan moves.
I'll second.
Seconded by Siobhan. Any comments or edits or thoughts on the minutes of June 9th? Seeing none, we're gonna vote. All those in favor of June 9th, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. We are now moving on to the minutes of June 23rd.
I have an edit on page 144. Julie Hurd's name is spelled incorrectly.
Oh, thank you.
Sarah could have worked for John Steinbeck.
Absolutely, it's amazing.
Any other comments or questions or thoughts on the June 9 minutes?
June 23rd.
23rd.
I'm sorry, June 23rd. Thank you for correcting. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
I don't think anybody made a motion or a second. Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all.
Motion made.
We've begun.
Motion by Ed, second by Siobhan.
Thank you.
All those in favor say aye.
I
Aye.
I
Opposed? Duncan abstains.
Thank you.
All right. We have the minutes done. Next up, we have current bills payable.
Mary, could you pass down the tissues?
absolutely.
My eyes.
I'm sorry, I have to find what page that is on. I'm getting there.
Current payable,
Where are
page number go.
Page 151. I know, that's the enrollment report.
No.
Hold on.
Yeah, where are they?
One,
It's not,
Not finding it.
I didn't see it.
I think
did it not? I'm gonna go,
I didn't see it in there.
do you wanna go take a look?
Yeah. Let me get it.
See if you,
Okay, well. then,
Sorry.
yeah,
Skip over that.
So why don't you, Mary, take advantage of this time and comment on the enrollment report?
yes, so you'll notice our enrollment has gone down. We had more seniors leave than we had students come in. So page 151 is the enrollment report. The reality is, we anticipate we will have some continued changes between now and August 31st when we start. But, we did end the year last year at 898. Preschool through our post-grad, and preschool through post-grad right now we're 865. So, that's 33 students. And again, that's really attributed to a bigger class going out and a bigger class than a class coming in. So, it's one to continue to watch. And, I think it is the continued stance as our size changes, how we look for those natural attrition points or flexing, changing, what we do based on enrollment is one of those continued conversations. But I anticipate it will look different in the next couple weeks too. I know today I was talking, about, we were working on some paperwork for a family, and that's, I think, 3 students who will be enrolling. So I anticipate some changes.
Great. I'm gonna roll right into the staffing update.
Sure. So for staffing, I'm very pleased to say that we are fully staffed from a classroom teacher perspective. And I think that's a real accomplishment. The one teaching position, or it falls in the teaching category, that we haven't filled is the speech language pathologist, but as you know, we have not been able to fill that, but we have a contracted service. So the needs of the students will be.
Where is that contracted?
That's happening at the middle high school.
That's the middle high school, okay.
Perfect timing, Ashley.
Wonderful.
We're ready to come back to you.
Apologize.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We did have extra pages to run off this time.
Thank you.
So manifest 3003 is in front of you, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Ms. Dolph?
No.
I like jetpacks. Wine, it's fun.
This laptop leases, is that an annual, it's something which is an annual thing? What's the trend there? I mean, is that sort of stay
So,
similar or?
this particular year, I'm gonna turn to Mr. Parsons because we were a little worried about the pricing. We saw a particular spike in the spring when we were looking.
Yeah, price right now, RAM, may I speak? Sorry.
Please do.
Price for RAM memory is just astronomical. So Chromebooks that we bought last year for $350 are now over $500. So all of that is going way up. We did okay with our lease. Yeah, I think we were okay with some of the devices with our staff laptop lease. In staff laptops, I'm trying to think of the schedule. I think it's a 4-year lease, so that'll stay the same for the next 4 years. And then our desktop lease is still current. Desktops we keep for 5. Chromebooks have been 3. So this was a big turnover this year.
Got it.
But we were able to get things squared away. The other thing that they were really concerned with is supply is real low, but they just came in yesterday, thankfully. So we'll be good for the
We'll be
start of
ready to
school.
go.
I just bought my first laptop in like 15 years.
Ah.
Wow.
I've been using a work laptop. I was shocked at how expensive.
Yeah.
That's right, you had the oldest one.
What?
That's right, you had the oldest
It's all right.
one.
Other questions for Ms. Dolph?
So am I correct that the health trust line is 1 month? 543,000,
That is for July, correct? Yes.
boy, does that paint a picture, huh?
It's health, dental, and life insurance.
Sure, but it's $500,000 a
Yes.
month.
It is.
It just, there's something about that, when we say we spend this amount, on benefits, that has more impact to me looking at that line item than the general statement.
Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve. Moved and seconded. Any other comments or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Hi.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Thank you, Ashley, for
Thank
your
you.
quick
Apologize, that
response.
wasn't there.
It's okay. We are back up to an item that we were trying to get done last spring, but due to other things, we had to kick the can down the road, and so here we are at the end of the road. So with that, I will turn it over to Mrs. Moriarty.
So you have, for your consideration, this is the draft strategic plan. I think there's still a little more packaging we might do, but the content is here. You have the mission, purpose, vision, culture of excellence, the domains, which I want to thank Mr. Yildiz here this evening. We had Mr. Tordell, Ms. Conley, Mrs. Starmer, and a number of other people who participated starting last July, and it went into end of September, and then we came back together after the April feedback on those areas and reworked it. Every piece of feedback we went through, some made sense, some didn't make sense to tweak things, but that's been updated as a result, as have the focus areas, goals and action items. All that feedback that we received from the April community outreach has helped to reshape this. And so this has been the plan that's been posted since June for consideration. And I do have, and I don't need to get a page number, page 174. So part of the work at the administrative retreat, which it's really not a retreat, it's definitely a hard work session we had yesterday and today. we're building the timelines and assigning who's the lead for it. The lead doesn't mean the person who's going to be the only one doing it, but somebody has to be the point person or point person positions. So we're doing this for each of the focus areas. So this just gives you a sense of what it looks like if you're looking at 174. So there'll be 3 colors. Yellow will be preliminary study. Blue will be in progress. Green will be either embedded or completed. We've also categorized the financial impact. And so minimal is under 200,000, moderate is 200 to 500,000, significant is over 500,000. So the reality is the board, for every budget season or cycle, you will be considering, these action steps. Is it something that can be afforded to be done, or will the plan need to be adjusted? But it's been a great process, and I hope that the board is proud of, you've created a great process. You've had lots of community community feedback and opportunities. And I think now we're kind of ready to hopefully get it approved. We have plans to do with staff, if it is approved, that for our opening, there will be some sessions created for people to read through the plan and to become familiar with it in a fashion that helps to engage. Those are kind of the next steps. The other piece that I can share is that this coming Friday, if you look at Focus Area 1, Culture and Climate, which certainly is, was a conversation last June, we have scheduled our Principal Advisory Council and both of our elementary advisory councils they've all been invited to come and work with the administrative team. We have a facilitator that I've contracted, Brian Stack. He's a part-time superintendent and part-time educational consultant to help facilitate the process. We did invite 3 vendors to come to share school climate surveys and what they do to help analyze those surveys, because that's a critical piece of the process. It's not just taking a survey, it's how we analyze it and how we use it to create goals that help elevate us as an organization. Unfortunately, I learned today that one of those organizations has pulled out, feeling that they couldn't tailor to our request. So we have 2 vendors coming for Friday. But I think that's an important piece. Our goal will be to administer the surveys in October and have a process to analyze them, again, using our elementary advisory councils and our principal advisory councils to be a big part of that piece. And then each school will set goals based on the results.
Sorry, Mary, you said using the advisory councils, and I was using the advisory council to help analyze and help understand the insights that are being pulled.
Yep, so they'll, the company will have some report they pump out.
Yeah.
And so we'll have to analyze those results and what that means and how we set actionable goals from that. How do we identify what are the, most pressing areas, and how do we develop, goals that are actionable that we can then measure over time.
So the company will analyze the results. So they'll get all the, all the data. They'll say, here are the results, and then the advisory group and others are going to figure out what to do with those. The analysis they do is how we proceed.
Correct.
From here.
Yeah. So the company will give some kind of report,
right,
and we will bring in a consultant from the company. That's been a big part of the question, because how we interpret that, how we also look for, are there trends of things that might go together? That's going to help us figure out what the goals are. Mm-hmm. But the key is the Principals Advisory Council and the Elementary Advisory Council will be working with your building leadership.
And they'll be talking in the beginning with the company about when they construct the survey. They'll be discussing the questions and how.
And that's what we're going to do on Friday. So on Friday, we'll get to hear from the companies. So there's 2 left. what they have as an option. The reality is, what are we anchoring back to? We should be anchoring back to our mission, vision, purpose, and our foundational principles. Things have to relate back to that because that really is how we should be measuring ourselves. So we will be asking how they can, like one of them is Panorama. They have an 800 question bank. So again, how would you help us to figure out what those questions are going to be? The other one is Education for the Future. They're a nonprofit out of the University of California. They've been around for a long time. And so they have done research-based questions for perspectives. And so, again, how do what they have built, how does that align with what we're looking for? So it's going to be a collaborative process.
And they're anonymous. The vendor will be taking
Yep,
the
and
raw
that,
data, and
we'll
that's-
have, like, I know Panorama has, because not years ago, like a few years back, the state offered Panorama, and we put it out, it was like during COVID, the state was doing like a survey throughout the state.
Yeah.
We didn't get high, COVID people were tapped out, I think, but they have analytics or something behind the scenes that could say like, gee, I'm getting 20 responses from the same IP address or something, like it would flag that.
Just clarity, we didn't get high completion rates, or we didn't get high ratings?
I would say it was high, it wasn't a high completion rate, it was very minimal responses. I think it was during COVID, we put them out to family, like
I remember that.
I think the state had and I may be misremembering, but I feel like it was like in May, like they wanted, like it came out and it was quick. And so I don't think it was I think we tried to build letting people know that it was available, but I do think people were pretty tapped at that.
Hopefully those advisory councils will help push,
Yeah.
their colleagues to sort of
Yeah.
take,
Yeah.
sort of give feedback.
That's a good point, Abe, and I would hope the whole reason for this process is to be transparent, to have buy-in across the board. And in my mind, we're gonna end up with something we're all gonna agree to as a collective group. And we heard last spring that a lot of people felt that was a very needed thing.
Yeah.
So I would think there would be a high participation rate,
Totally.
would be my sense.
And I think
families
how it
and
is
stuff.
approached, again, it's important that we are looking to make sure that we are analyzing ourselves to where we want to be, and where we are and what we might need to do to get there. Like it needs to be a productive process so that we can set productive goals that can be worked on.
I really appreciate the effort finding the right vendor with the right way of engaging. So I do recall that survey, and I recall feeling like, I don't know the answer to this. Like, what is the context of these questions and where are they going? What's the point of them, kind of thing. So I love that there is this foundation that's been set that this can be offered into.
So, so the goal will be, by the end of the day Friday, the Principals Advisory Council and the Elementaries Advisory Council and the administrative team will have very clear, the framework and a vendor that we've selected and that we're moving forward. So.
Can I make 2 comments on the plan? And I realize that these were very much created within a group setting and things, but just to point out some context that has been, or comments, or I don't know, messaging that has come out through conversation in recent meetings, just maybe to kind of orient in for and civic partnership in the action steps. I realized that it's listing in here somewhere. Oh, it's actually at 167 about increasing community input by 5% in Parent Square. And I recall there being a person in the audience who made a comment about the kids engage in social media in some way, to put up in school. And so, and I saw Kingswood Regional High School, they have a tech director who uses one of her marketing classes or something like that to engage, to kind of show safe ways to engage with social media. Like there are already platforms out there that I think we can also think about utilizing or leveraging that teach internet safety, right? And also have this, so what I'm looking for. To increase our, like the awareness of us, like what we're about, you know.
Broader appeal.
Thank you. And then the other comment is for page 173, and it's talking about friction identification, and it in particular points out paperwork. And I want to highlight how readability for documents coming out of the SAU that families are receiving, if we could focus on readability, that's a point of friction.
So paperwork and readability friction.
Yes, I think ensuring that
Clarity.
when a document
Yes,
is,
looking at the level that it's at.
that was it.
I guess I do want to go back to the last, so that goal was about trying to increase community group membership within Parent Square by 5%. So that's for people who don't have children in the school district.
No, I realized
okay.
that, but I was just got my mind going on
Okay,
like
so you're thinking of
student
other,
engagement and how, yes,
Yep, okay.
that and.
Are you thinking of a change to this, or are you just saying in general, something for us to look at?
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I think just a seed to plant in there.
Yeah. Perfect.
I think you're talking about how to achieve that 5%.
No, separate, no, that, just looking at parents, not how to achieve the 5%, but, you know, seeing that that is a social media platform specific for the school. It's its own app, right? And its own like messaging system and stuff like that, but there already are platforms that students engage in and the community at large engages in. Can we do this, but also think creatively and safely about ways to have our student population engage in those platforms, those online platforms in safe ways that also increases the access that the community has to us. You know, like maybe not community members may not necessarily be interested in downloading Parent Square to have access to school and the information and the messaging that we want to get out there, but they do have. No, I don't have any, but TikTok.
But if community members engage in social media about Laker bots or the football team or something, that's a positive.
Yeah, are
You're
there,
talking about funding efficiency.
right, are there platforms? or
So
messaging?
how about something relative to like social media? There is a component in here about a communication specialist, but
I saw that,
yeah,
yes.
but I think, so maybe it's utilizing where appropriate student groups with supervision to help
Engage the
engage through
community
social
through-
media
Yeah.
or something to that, if people give me a little
Like
latitude to.
projects
to
or
that.
something like
Yeah.
that, right?
Yeah, we can add something like that.
I mean, sorry, I'm still, I don't 100% get it, but I think I'm on the right track, or I think I'm getting there. With something as simple or as basic as we announce these meetings are coming up on Parent Square, should we be actively doing that on Meredith Town, like, should we be using Facebook and
No,
communicating
that's
that?
not necessarily
Okay.
the spirit of what I'm talking about. I mean, maybe
We're
that's
trying
what
to
people
teach
just,
students how to use social media to get people engaged in our.
yes, like for instance, the Kingswood, it's in particular a marketing class. And so you have, generally marketing plans are gonna come with social media
Yeah.
engagement. So like, that is the structure and the reason and the purpose to learning how to do that. And you were part of a school, so let's learn how to market using the school. They gave a great presentation.
It
was compelling.
It might be worth considering, and I think I'm picking up what you want, is maybe it's not increased community group membership within Parent Square by 5%. It's increased community group membership within various social
Platforms.
media or various social media.
I think both, yeah.
How do you
Which
track that?
includes Parent Square.
Yeah, true.
But it's
Right,
not
that's true, that's true.
various social media platforms includes, but it's not limited to.
Yeah.
This is limited to.
Yes, yes.
It's a hard thing to track, though.
We can do that.
That's a hard thing to track.
Okay, so that does my.
I
Are you seeing that or?
Yes, I'm seeing
Oh,
that.
okay.
Like
Any
parents are
other
controlling.
items regarding the strategic plan? I'd entertain a motion to approve it then. Nancy, thank you. Second, thank you, Duncan. Any other final comments?
I just want to thank Mary. Mary did
Oh my
a
gosh, yes.
phenomenal amount of work on this. I
Team
also-
effort.
Oh, yeah, but I also want to say that, I was asked to be on the writing committee, and my first thought was writing by committee is never, but it was wonderful. I love the parents on the committee, one of whom is here. Their perspectives were really interesting. I learned a lot in the process about what's important to the school district. You were on it, and these two were also on it, but I thought the process was really good.
Yeah.
So,
Got philosophical.
yeah.
Okay,
I don't know if do I wait till the end to ask a question or
is
a
it
comment?
about this?
Yeah, it is.
Please go ahead, Nancy.
Okay. I'm Nancy Bickford. I live in Meredith and I'm a teacher. I had one question about, in that plan, at least 3 different places it says to hire a part-time something or other. And in lieu of, the hiring that was thought to be done in the spring, with an assistant principal, somebody not working directly with the students in the building, will we be hiring more additional people that aren't working directly with students to facilitate this, or what? I mean, I know it's 2031 that we're talking about. That's a far way away.
So there are some action items that do propose hiring some staff, so like a volunteer coordinator. So volunteers are like adding an additional workforce. Workforces take, there's training, there's ensuring, that criminal background checks, all those components, so that, right, adds more. To do that, that's for a mentoring program as well as coordinating volunteers for the classroom. And then also there is a part-time communications director. The reality is people, what came very clearly out of the conversations, people want to know more about what's going on in our schools. Well, all of that, being able to promote that is work. So, that is the reality. So that is proposed as a part-time. There is a project-based learning teacher. What came out of hearing from families is a desire for more authentic learning opportunities. Those take, a lot of effort to build. And so, our teachers, our classroom teachers are certainly, they are spread thin to be able to take on some of those development components. So having a project-based learning teacher who can over time help build local lessons that are tied to our local area. Our grade 7 team does this incredibly well. They certainly are, I think, a showcase for what we're hoping to do, but that is proposed. And so those are gonna all be considerations for the board to, at those different points, determine if you want to add that into the budget.
So I was just gonna say, so just as a caveat, the board, the rubber meets the road is during the budget process.
Yeah.
Then ultimately, what the voters of our communities want to approve.
I do just want to add, I think there was a comment that maybe like the proposed assistant principal wouldn't work with students. Administrators absolutely work directly with
Yes, I mean,
students,
like
so-
the hands-on in the classroom
Yeah,
type.
But I think
where I
it's
was coming from.
absolutely, every member of our organization, granted, business office is not working directly with students. I'm not with as much as I want, but I can tell you that our our building administrators are dealing directly with students and families on a daily basis, from very early in the morning till very late at night with email exchanges and so forth, so.
Thank you. Any other board member input? We're gonna vote then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The strategic plan is approved.
Thank you, and again, thank you to Mr. Yolda, to our board members, and to the other members of the committee who
Nancy,
created the framework.
Nancy stole my thunder a little bit. I did want to say, I wanted to acknowledge that our superintendent was the shepherd on this whole effort. And those sheep were going in a lot of different directions from what I could tell. And Nancy and Siobhan and Ed, thank you for your time last summer with those meetings, and to the other community members and staff who spent time. I don't know names of everybody. As an observer, I know it's a big lift, so thank you all. That's great. New business, legislative update.
Well, just the field lights, just to let you know, the
I'm
lights are
sorry.
on, they are up, they are running. And the October 2nd will be our kind of official thank you to donors and taxpayers. And hopefully our goal is to do it as like a rededication of the Charles G. Burroughs.
And that will be homecoming.
And that will be homecoming. So please mark your calendar, and it's wonderful to have the lights up. And we do hope to make connections with the rec departments, because the reality is that some adults don't mind going out at 9:30 at night to play soccer or something like that. And we'd like to give them first bite at that apple.
Great, thank you.
I just want to say, so Jeff Burroughs, the Burroughs, family, he's, is he the president of the Historical, Sandwich Historical Society? Anyway, last week was Old Home Week, so I ran into him several times. He was so touched by the event you did with turning on the lights, and many members of his family were there, and he was really touched by seeing, is it the Keenan family?
Yes, yeah.
That they were there and meeting them, so that was a nice thing to do.
So
There weren't many.
we wanted to officially turn the lights on, but our event is really the 2nd of October. So we did invite the Burroughs family, because we finally have a sign on the field for them. And we did invite the Grandparents Club to come. And so Kevin Keenan, who passed last spring, who was very active as a grandparent, and it was something we worked very hard for. We had his wife do the official pushing of the touch screen. It's a little anticlimactic. And thank you to Mr. Twaddell for representing the board. It was what I call it was a low-key sweet moment. And
That's what I would say he was saying.
yeah, it was it was just the family connections and all of that, I think, was really, really special. And so we look forward to really celebrating on the first game. The first,
September 8th.
I think, is
I think Sarah Dume said September 8th.
September 8th will be the
The
first
soccer game.
evening game, a soccer game. Not that we won't be using the lights until then. We do also have, there's some landscaping matters that have come up, not a surprise, right, when you dig a hole and take dirt out. But we did not hit any rock, which, for each of the 4 poles. So that's really good. We do need to see what the landscaping, is gonna do in terms of that contingency fund. And it's just a hard time of year to get landscapers.
Great, thank you, Mike.
Charlie, sorry,
Yeah,
quick question, I'm sorry. You mentioned opening up to the rec departments, that's cool. I would love to be one of the adults to get to play soccer there at night. Who manages the schedule? I mean, is that Sarah?
So there, there is a facilities request component, but I will be asking Sarah to connect first with the rec departments.
Yeah.
I think it's a great relationship, our 3 communities have put money towards
Right.
these lights, and so giving them first bite, I think, makes sense, as well as my hope is that the rec departments will also help with some of the oversight of that. We're gonna have people out a little later on our campus. So I think having it connected to the rec department to start with makes really good sense.
But I'm thinking more like the schedule, like,
Yep. Yep, so we have a system, we have this software.
Okay.
So, yeah, so that.
And it's managed through Brian.
Right, so through facilities, people book,
Got it.
like if we, in my mind, and again, I'm gonna have Sarah do it, but, we're probably blocking out maybe it's Center Harbor wants this, maybe they want Tuesdays, and maybe Sandwich wants Wednesdays, and Meredith wants Thursdays, or something like that. So.
Great.
It's exciting.
Thank you, Mary. Legislative update.
So, part of this is stay tuned. So 2 pieces of legislation passed. One will be for the community to consider in November a tax cap for the school district. So that will be in all local communities, that question will be raised. The reality is, as I understand it, if one is passed, what would happen is we'd have to present a budget to the tax cap. That certainly has implications potentially for collective bargaining agreements as well. But legislative bodies do have the opportunity to, in an annual meeting, to potentially, adjust. And I don't know if they can go below. They may be able to go below. If they can go up, they can probably go below. So it's going to be a different budget season for us. In addition, there was also how SAU budgets are presented for multi-districts. So each of the districts and a multi-district SAU will consider their portion as a separate warrant article for during their process. If it's SB2, so Ashland is SB2, so that will be in the voting booth. And Interlakes will be at the annual meeting. There is some math that has to happen between the 2 communities, and it becomes like, I think it's 3/5 of the body that votes. So there's a potential, even though Ashland might be a smaller portion, they tend to have more voters than we have at our annual meeting.
Because they're an SB2.
Because through SB2, and it's also part of their town.
meeting.
Right, so there's a lot of questions on what that looks like. We will be learning a lot. Mrs. Dollop is going to a training on the 25th. The attorneys, we started asking questions in July, and what they've said to us is you've got to give us a moment to catch up on this as well.
I would just say my concern, and for the public and for the other board members, my concern is what happens if Ashland passes one number and Interlakes through its process passes another, and I think we don't know the answer to that. But it could make the administration of this building more complicated if that division of resources was further filtered through some kind of differential. It's a complicated question.
And, piece that people need to realize, you think of last year, like with Claremont and some of the financial concerns and so forth. The SAU office manages over $40 million. It's a lot of money. It's, it takes management. And there are components of that are related to like default budget type.
For the SAU budget.
For the SAU
Yes.
budget, which then people wouldn't be allowed to have salary positions. You're even talking hourly, wouldn't be allowed to have raises if it wasn't if you don't have a multi-year agreement. And things like that, I think, should be a concern because we are very dependent on having high quality people to do this work. And if you have, if people can't have increases because there's default budgets and so forth, we might have more turnover. And we know we've been through turnover, right? In terms of having consistent quality folks is critically important. But there's much more to learn about this. This is more awareness this evening. I think it's important that we have a steep learning curve. So how we prepare will look, probably look different this year.
Realistically, what was the feedback you got from our attorney regarding when we would have a good grasp of what this actually means?
Well, I think they're feeling confident that they have, that on the 25th, they will have something to more concrete to share with us at that training. What I did hear from our attorney is collective bargaining is going to get more complicated as, if a tax cap is approved.
I lived in California when Proposition 2.5 passed statewide, and it gutted what was touted as the best public schools in the country. you know, like, anyway, this scares me.
I think one of the things that might be important, giving it some consideration, is at least how do we help people understand what they might be voting on? Like, I think there's a potential that people, again, just to understand, how do we build awareness in the fall for that November consideration of, just so you know what this question is asking you. And so I think, when we know a little bit more after the 25th, maybe we can have greater conversations about it.
I would agree. At this point, we're just speculating and that's just wasting time, for sure. Anything else on that? Hearing none. Suicide prevention plan. We have Mr. Connell with us tonight.
Good evening, how is everyone?
Good.
Yeah, so I'm happy to answer any questions about the suicide prevention plan. I will say that the plan as it stands hasn't really undergone any significant changes over the past handful of years. I continue to help facilitating, providing annual training for our counselors and school psychologists about relevant information, like good tips for working with different age populations. So that continues to happen. Our students are continuing to get education on this important topic and knowing the warning signs and how to intervene and help themselves or friends. So the tool is evidence-based. Jordan Carney at Comenci kind of gave it a facelift and made it look a little prettier than I could have. So I applaud her for that. But the content is all the same, and the counselors and admin staff are all well versed in using it. So I don't know if anybody has any
Questions for Mr. Connell?
questions specific to the plan.
I would entertain a motion to approve the SPP.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Get that, AD?
Yes, thank you.
Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Connell. Appreciate that. Doing a good job out there. Data security and governance policy. We have already talked about that in non-public. Are there any further questions or comments before we get a motion? I'd entertain a motion then.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Seconded. Did you get that, AD? Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Next up, we have an update from Mrs. Dolph about the Meal Bridge pilot program.
Great, thank you. I want to first start out by thanking Ms. Conley for her feedback. I did share the letter and application with her, and she was able to provide us some wonderful edits. So the board back in June had encumbered $25,000 towards meal assistance, and so this is our draft effort at trying to roll this program out. We are looking to really move this forward in November, and the reason for the delay is because we do want families to fill out those free and reduced applications. If we are aware of a family through that application process that they would be eligible for this, we can absolutely move this forward a little bit sooner. And we would be retroactive back to the start of the school year for any identified families. So we are excited to roll this out. Again, maybe a few edits or tweaks of the name of the program, but otherwise, we are working closely with Lori Raymond and Christine Taggett in our office with the program, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
I do.
Sure.
I'm wondering on the application form. There are two places. You have section 2, household members and income.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got section 3, federal poverty guidelines, where they need to indicate, where they stand in those guidelines. I'm wondering why you need the specific information.
It could be just place where you are.
Be where you are. You've got a family of 4
Sure.
and your income is under 99,000.
I think that's a great
Yeah, that's great.
I think putting down your family income is one of the reasons that federal free and reduced lunch folks don't like to fill
Right.
those forms out. And I
Yeah.
didn't think it was probably necessary since you've got this general.
Sure, that's a good point.
Do people have to provide proof of their income?
We do, with the national school lunch
For
application.
the school, for the
when
federal
they're
school
filling-
lunch
for this.
applications, but.
For this,
I think we're
we're
going on the honor
with the honor
system.
system. Yeah,
It
absolutely.
does say that it can be looked at,
Yes,
that school officials can verify this information.
and what I would say from the free and reduced program, if we're audited, we do have to provide that we've verified, for people that are filling out the application, so we do need that, but this program would be a little.
And I think that's something we can explore. I think your suggestion is a good one. And if there's, in the coming years, if that becomes an issue, we can become more attentive to tracking it down.
Yeah.
But I think in this pilot program, I'm comfortable with it being where do you fall on this table?
Great.
And it's hard enough to fill out and to put yourself out there. And if you're saying that,
Yeah.
and if there's some reason to question that, we explore it. If not, we take them
You
at
know,
their
we're a
word.
small district.
Yeah.
People know families,
Exactly.
they know, you know, it's, the school I'm involved in Maine is doing the same thing and does not ask specific income.
Okay.
Just ranged, so I think it makes some sense in small communities to, I can see the
Oh, I think
federal
it's, I think
program.
it's a
and-
It's a
great
great suggestion.
question. The name, I do like fueling student success or something along that line. We're not really wedded to the Lakers Millbridge pilot program. It's kind of
No.
flat. So we will be working on, it's an opportunity to message something. So I think that was some suggestion from the conversation with this conference. So.
I also have a question about, are we gonna follow up with, percentage of students eating meals at school and, that information? Because, again, the school in Maine had the statistics because they did a whole, they did more than half a year extending the free lunch and for everybody, right? And the statistics on how many kids ate lunch at school were very high, in the 90th percentile. Then they tried it's just one trimester that they tried this, and they're working on it again this year, but the statistics were 89% or something, so fewer kids were eating lunch at school, but still much higher than before.
So we'll track.
So tracking that, I
because
think would be
we're
helpful.
able to through
Because what you
the
really want is
yeah.
for kids to
eat.
have meals, right?
Right. So and the system allows us to track.
Good.
Are you sure? Yeah. I do have a question where if a family does fill out the free and reduced school lunch and they are eligible, and then they go for this, why would we pay for that child if they're already receiving free and free lunch
that
through
No, she's saying
this?
the
They wouldn't
No.
fill it. If they're free and reduced lunch eligible,
Right.
They wouldn't fill
they wouldn't fill this up. If they are reduced, if they qualify for reduced, they automatically qualify.
This is just going to pay for what the parent would have to
differences.
pay for.
Yeah,
Great.
Correct.
And, okay, that's what I.
And it would go
was hoping
backwards.
for.
If they didn't qualify for the federal free and reduced, you would have kept track of what they would have been eligible for September and October and would apply that to their, is that what you're saying? If they are
qualify
eligible for this,
Mhm.
but not for free and reduced,
Right.
they would get this from the beginning of the year, but you wanna
Up
wait.
to about 25 students.
Sure, I understand that,
Yes.
but you wanna wait until all the people who are eligible for free and reduced are accounted
We
for.
really need people to
and
fill out
we-
those free and
Right.
reduced
Yeah, okay.
applications.
So that,
Yes.
so that the 25 are just for the, yeah.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
there is benefit to a family doing both to some degree, even if they are free though, because then that's data. In a way, right, to see
But if they're free and if
We
they're-
get
if they
their-
get the
We're going to
federal,
get that data through the free and reduced application.
Yeah, that's all.
So they wouldn't need to fill this out.
not that kind of data, but just that there's awareness of it, that it's like they felt comfortable enough interacting with it in some way, even though they completed this. Because one of the barriers we've talked about wanting to reduce is like the application process, right? So I think there is kind of an invitation in here of like, if you filled out this, I don't think it says anywhere, you know, if you filled out the free and reduced lunch and got a reduction, you know, to supplement, for us to take care of that difference, you know, then complete section 4 so that we have your information. It just says, if you've completed the free and reduced lunch application, my family qualifies, great. It needs to say go to section 4 and fill it out so we know who they are, but I think there's something that says like this is clearly an accessible application if somebody still does that.
Right, and so we were thinking just internally, we were going to fill it out for the family and notify them that they did qualify, just to make it easier, so it was one less form, but we can absolutely do it that way as well. Either way,
Oh,
yeah,
that's,
it was,
but it would
we were thinking just more internally to fill it out, just for our own records,
Gotta get
so that they don't have to fill it out.
So
Dave, did you have a
mechanics-
question?
Sorry, yeah, kind of following up on Duncan's line of questioning, the retroactive, like how would that, we find out in October, oh, you did qualify, are we asking them to sort of save their receipts or?
No,
I don't know, the
so
system
through our
doesn't-
lunch system, we would know, and we would go in and make an adjustment.
So they've been
And
paying
pay.
in September, and then in October they find out that
If they had paid,
Yes.
so if there's a
had paid.
negative balance, that's what we're going to go in and adjust.
We
If there
will not
isn't,
reimburse
then
them
we can
for
go moving forward.
Is that right? So.
Yeah.
So they've paid,
Mhm.
they qualify, if there's no
And then
negative,
moving
then that's
forward.
just their money lost, right? They just sort of, right? Is it-
Essentially.
Or the
yeah.
starting
It might
point will
help
be that
someone
balance.
Starting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And that money could help someone
Okay,
else.
yeah, okay. It just didn't know if we were gonna be in the business of reimbursing people once this sort of.
No.
Okay,
No,
I don't think
we
so.
will make sure that negative balances
Are
are,
Okay.
taking
yes,
care
that
of.
makes sense. Okay,
Yes.
all right, cool.
Any other questions? Because this was an update.
yes,
We've
so,
already approved.
right. The board approved the concept.
Yeah.
So we're working through the mechanics. We just want you to know we're making progress on that. We'll continue to smooth it out. And what I would say is, we, have funding really for 25 students. But if we find ourselves that we have more, we will certainly look at what we might be able to do differently and come to the board and talk about that. So,
Talk about options.
yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
New
you.
teacher hires.
So very pleased to share on page 201, 3 teachers that thank you to the board for hiring over the summer. We have Jessica Hayquin, that is how it is pronounced, grade 4 teacher for ILS. Elizabeth Arsenal, special education teacher for ILES, and Francesca Alvino, grade 2 teacher for ILES. So I feel very fortunate that the board was able to help us secure those positions, and we are starting, as I said, the year with all of our teaching positions except for the speech pathologist role.
Great. Questions for the superintendent? Okay, thank you very much, Mary. Human Rights Committee minutes.
So this is just kind of an annual update for you. So part of the law requires on page 202, we have our plan to prevent discrimination, assess the presence of discrimination, intervene and respond to incidents of discrimination. So that is our plan that we have, that we annually meet and we review incidents and actions that have been taken and actions we should take to continue to address concerns. We did last year put in place some better tracking so that we were able to pull some data more quantitatively versus qualitatively. And so on 205, you have actually the breakdown of the incidents by school. And then you have our action steps that we took. We have our school counselors are part of that discussion as well, because a big piece of that is how things get incorporated into some of our school counseling lessons and so forth. So, and Attorney Glenn is present for the Human Rights Committee meeting, which is an important piece because it is a lot of nuances, and that legal training is really helpful.
Questions for the superintendent?
Just because I think it would be helpful, the disabilities, this is one of the first times I've seen disability
Yeah.
come up, more than very rarely as a source
We are
of
seeing an increase
discrimination,
of
and that's
that.
interesting.
So one of the things that ILES, Kate Clark, who is one of the school counselors, has arranged for, No Brain is the Same, is the organization. No Brain is the Same, and they really talk about neurodiversity and so forth. So they'll be coming to the school to do some training this year with students, and so we're looking to see if that's a place for us to maybe kind of lean on a little bit more, and because we definitely are seeing a rise on in regard to that, particularly at the elementary level that was referenced.
And it's more neurodiversity than it is physical disability or
I would, yes.
Intellectual.
Yes, more
Yeah,
neurodiversity.
more intellectual
Yep, that was referenced.
Interesting.
What the attorney did share with us is that just as an awareness that statewide, you're seeing an increase in anti-Semitism. So we want to make sure we're being aware of that as well. And again, it's so important, if we see something, say something, because then we can, act. And, making sure that people, raise concerns. We can't address what we don't know. And it's really important. This is important work, and it's hard work, and there's no easy answer, but we keep working the work.
So,
Go ahead, Ed.
Mary, thanks for putting this together. I put you on the spot last year when I asked for this, so thanks for that. As we go forward, I think it might be helpful if we can capture the historic data points.
Absolutely.
Much like we do
Yeah.
with the enrollment going back several years.
Yep.
And say, ooh.
And I think we'll be better positioned to do that because we had, things were coded in different ways.
Right.
But I think we've got the coding in a way that we can start getting some historical graphs over time.
Right.
Which, again, and this becomes the qualitative part, that definitely that neurodiversity and in that qualitative conversation, but
Right.
having it coded with disability allowed us to get, dig into that a little bit more.
Anything else for the superintendent? So is it just the first two, Mary, we're gonna kick down the road, or all three?
Yeah, so just the first two, and maybe could I just give a couple highlights about that?
Sure.
So under policy, unauthorized communication devices, so that's the cell phone policy. So a part of that policy is that annually we will bring together some teachers, some parents to talk about the policy. And we've gotten some feedback, not a lot of, nothing major, I would say, some minor components. But we discussed it today at the administrative work session. And there are just a few little tweaks. So we will bring that to the September 8th board meeting for you to do as a first and final reading for those updates. The bullying and cyberbullying, pupil safety and violence prevention, the law changed. So bullying used to require a significant incident that fell into certain groups of things and an imbalance of power. And so that and was an important component. The new law has removed that and. So we had our legal training last Tuesday as an administrative team. Honestly, this update, we met again today with the attorney just to go back over because we would anticipate having more investigations related to bullying as a result. Whether there'll be more findings will depend, but it's definitely an area for us to be aware. That law does require pulling together some students, some parents, some teachers, some community members, law enforcement with policy committee. So what I'd like to try to do is between now and the 8th is have policy committee invite a few folks to come to the table to look at the policy, well, I think here's the law, here's what is a proposed policy from the New Hampshire School Boards Association, what conversations do we need to have? So that, I feel like would be better to try to get accomplished and do it for the 8th. What some school districts are is they're just adopting the current proposed policy from the New Hampshire School Boards, and then they're gonna do it and then bring it back. I think we can, do it well and do it once is where I would suggest we go. And, the reality is the administrative team is very well versed at this point to follow the law. So if something comes up, we need to follow the law, even if right now for this little bit, our policy is not up to date. So between now and the 8th, we will get that accomplished. And then part C, this is really this came up last year and we just want to kind of correct it because I think it was, a word choice that can create an unintended concept or result. So page 208, if you look, temporary reassignment, so that's in-school suspension, often referred to. Parent guardians shall be notified at least 24 hours prior to the administration of a temporary reassignment. So we found an issue happened on say a Wednesday afternoon, and you call the parent that afternoon for the student to serve in-school suspension the next day, bless you, which makes sense. As a parent pointed out, well, that's not 24 hours. So really there is no legal reason it needs to be 24 hours. I think just taking that out and say at least prior to the administration, we aren't going to assign a student into in-school suspension without talking to the parent, but that could be the night before. It may be something that occurs that morning right off the bat, and you're calling and having that conversation, and it makes sense to start right away. So there's that component, and then we found a typo. It said just the letter C, and it should be code of conduct, which are our handbooks and so forth. So I'm hoping the board that if we could just clean that one up, that would be appreciated.
So to be clear, Mary, not that well weed them, you're gonna get rid of the 24 hours, but wouldn't you get rid of at least as well? So it should read, parents, guardians shall be
I
notified
think that's,
prior
yes.
to the administration of a temporary.
Even better. Notified prior to. Yep. Perfect.
Excellent.
I
Any
would
other,
move
it?
I would move the policy as amended.
There's seconded by Nancy. Any other comments or thoughts?
To be clear, we're speaking specifically of policy JICD.
Correct, JICD only. The other two are coming back next week, next meeting. All right, any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Donations. Lighted Up Lakers donation, Scott and Gail Spears in the amount of $100. Grandparents Club through their GoFundMe page in memory of Kevin Keenan, the amount of $1,557.05, which breaks down to Russell D. Demin in the amount of $1,000, Karen Craver in the amount of $200. Excuse me. Alan Frasshauer in the amount of $250. Doug Plummer in the amount of $100. Pat Hall in the amount of $50. Minus the GoFundMe fees of $42.95. So that brings our total donations to $183,273.29. Total in banner applications is $57,100 minus the printing costs of $4,271.79 for a total of $236,101.50. I would entertain a motion to accept the donations with gratitude. Thank you, Ed.
I'll second.
Seconded by Siobhan. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. We also got a donation from Overhead Door Option LLC, which is right here in Meredith, of an actual overhead door, which is valued at $3,600.
May I just make a note?
Yes,
that,
please do.
they had, if you look at the very last page of your agenda, they had proposed, some acknowledgement of their donation. I'm proposing, just for the aesthetics of the campus, that it be really like a small plaque, like 5 inches to 8 inches to the, near the door, that would stay there, thanking them for their, acknowledging the donation, and that would stay there for the life of the door or the shed, whichever.
Are they okay with that?
So I think if that is the direction the board will have to go back and see if get the board. What I would suggest is that the board consider accepting the donation with this caveat, and then Mr. Swanker can go back and have that conversation.
And just to be clear, the overhead door that they're donating is at the field.
It is the
shed
green
or
shed,
Yeah.
I would say emphatically that we would only accept the donation, or I would support only accepting the donation if it does not have this billboard associated with it. I mean, it's a kind donation, but I don't want to sell the naming rights to the shed.
So I guess
Yeah.
I hear, I'm in agreement with Doug, but my real question is we have a policy on donations, and what does that policy letter say?
So we don't have
with regard to recognition of the donator?
We don't have something on naming, so, the reality is we may want to create a policy related to that. I think in lieu of a policy right now, I think trying to keep a small plaque would be my recommendation. And if a policy was proposed, I think I would suggest that there's something like that.
I was just gonna say that, why don't we donate a banner to them?
So they've already bought,
They have a banner.
they've bought
And all we
multi-year.
need is, all we need is a little plaque. I think, there are banners, there will be banners advertising different companies and organizations, and this one just is, it's a small shed, but it's a lot bigger than a banner, so.
But, I think I can understand not having a policy for this, and I think that's why we have the ability to act as a board. Is it good to have a policy? Yeah, I think it's great. We should have a policy for something, but right now, we can say, that's nice that you're offering us this kind donation, but we can't accept it if it is contingent upon putting your company name on our school. So, that's
In that fashion.
in that fashion, yeah. And I think there's no reason to be contentious about it. We can just say,
But I think a policy could give
totally.
somebody in Mr. Swanker's position in that
Absolutely.
moment to
Absolutely,
say,
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah, we should have a policy. I never question, but we're,
I guess my question was really, does it currently exist? And the answer is no.
yeah, I don't think so.
We have donations, but it doesn't say anything about naming rights.
I would say, I like the idea of a policy as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
But the other piece of that would be have a minimum. There's no naming of anything of value less than $25,000, something like that.
Well,
The policy committee exists
Well,
for
and
discussing just that stuff.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right,
Yeah,
that's right.
So,
this
Who's
one
on the
is just
policy?
offensive in
Yeah.
terms of its size.
Yeah.
When you have a naming, you would say the, Alfred, the Burroughs Field,
Yeah.
right? That's different from a company putting a big advertisement up on the board,
So
right?
you had created, this is, for the donations for the lights project. You did approve, a process that $50,000 or more in a donation would be recognized by a sign on the scoreboard. So there are 5 spots. We've got 2 groups. The Grandparents Club reached 50,000 and Meredith Village Savings Bank. The Meredith Village was our first donation of that amount. So, I think it's, it is about the branding on the campus and
Yeah.
just being kind of cautious of that we, could become rather large
But-
advertising that starts to impact aesthetics.
I let me make my point clearer than it was before. I'm entirely supportive of having a policy that gives guidance. I think we as a board have to acknowledge that when we accept a gift, if there are stipulations to accepting the gift, we have to decide as a board whether we accept those stipulations or not. I'm sure the conversation can be absolutely reasonable and pleasant with this company that's generously offering us a door. if we can't come to an agreement, then we don't accept the gift.
Yeah,
It's
we're
as simple.
uncomfortable with the.
And we get to decide whether we accept the gift, whether it's this or any other thing, big number, little number. If it comes with strings, then we get to choose to, attach the strings or not.
So I think, is there a motion? Did somebody make a motion on that?
I'll make a motion to accept the offer of the door with the
Mary's
small plaque,
stipulation.
Mary's stipulation of the plaque, place the correct branding that is on the door.
That's crystal clear. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Sean. We have a motion and a second. Any other conversation? Abe, you sure you don't want to ask one more question?
Sure, now we're running on.
Sit down. All right. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Under other business, I just want to briefly give you all some information. As you know, Mary has mentioned over the last year, working on this regional special ed initiative. I went with Mary and Lisa to, and Nancy was there as well, I'm sorry. Yeah, Nancy was. And on a very hot day. And that is still moving forward. It's morphing, and you want to talk about herding cats, you get a bunch of superintendents. Holy smoke. We have a couple
There were
programs.
school board members there as well from
Yes,
the
there
other
were.
communities.
Causing lots of trouble.
In fairness.
But it's more like, no, everybody recognizes how there's such a need, and there could be a solution through this approach, I think, is where we're at. And there was some clarification at that meeting. Thank you, Franklin, for getting that grant that funded the presentation that we had by the consultant. So I guess all I'm telling you is it's still moving forward slowly, and stay tuned.
And what I can also share is the congressionally directed spending of $225,000 that we've received to hire an executive director to basically help move this forward. That money has been applied for. So first you get, like you ask for it, then you get told that it's going to move to the federal level. Then we got notification from the federal level that it was approved, and then you get to a point that now you actually write the application. It's kind of like you do kind of an initial application, but then there's this other application to actually get the money. That part's all been done. It's been, all the boxes were checked, but we have not received the money yet. But I think it's just things go kind of in buckets to Washington.
What a tremendous effort that is.
Yes.
But it's exciting, so we'll see where it goes.
Does anybody, other board member have any other business?
I meant to really thank the responsiveness in creating the, whatever we're gonna call it, the bridge
Lunch program.
thing, like, just, I really appreciate that. I think that's
It's a good
wonderfully done.
Community effort, and certainly we did reach out to Adam Dropshow.
Yeah.
I think that was a suggestion from the leadership team, and, he certainly got a conversation going, so something started.
And he responded, and he was very,
Yeah, he was very
he was
great.
pleased to be involved in the conversation. Which is great.
So with that, is there anybody else in the audience physically here? That would be 4 people essentially, who would like to make any final comment before I close public comment.
I'm gonna be that person. I just wanna thank you after June and the, school board meetings that we had in June. Thank you for all the time and energy you guys put into those meetings, and it's sad that we don't see people here after that and people saying they wanna be involved, and this is what we have still.
Well, in my mind, Nancy, that's okay. What
I understand,
What does
but-
make a difference is once we get going on this, we need a little buy-in, we need people to try to work and make this work.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we got kids to educate.
Yeah.
And do a good job of it.
But
Which
thank
I
you
think
guys
we-
for keeping coming back and doing the work that you do.
I appreciate you
Thank you.
acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Mr. Parsons, do we have anybody in the netherworld? that would like
No
to speak?
public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. I am closing public comment at 7:28. All right, we have our next meeting, which is Tuesday, September 8th. Same format, 5:30, at this point, 5:30 to 6 with a regular public session opening. I will say that depending on what comes up between now and then, if we do get more, I thought that was helpful in the spring when we had the longer non-public sessions. And maybe we'll do that moving forward if the agenda warrants it.
Okay.
Just as a heads up. And then, as Mary already mentioned, Friday, October 2nd is the homecoming and evening ceremony for the rededication of the Charles G. Burroughs Memorial Athletic Field and donor and taxpayer recognition for the Field Lights Project, which has been completed. Everybody who can make it would be greatly appreciated. And then with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I can do that.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We are adjourned at 7:29.
And we have